Hi there, it's Leila, your edible gardening teacher. Early October this year, I ran a 3 hours workshop for teachers with no gardening experience on how to teach your students how to grow food. And now I'm cutting down this 3 hours of workshop into bite-sized video pieces that I'm putting on my YouTube for very busy educators and teachers like yourself, so that you can watch it and learn on your own time. And this is the third of those video series. Enjoy! This quickly, that you don't need an outdoor garden to teach kids edible gardening. There's a lot of things that you can do indoors to connect them with the origin of their food. I do a lot of work inside the classrooms. As you can see, we have these little pots. They're actually paper cups, and that I make holes at the bottom, and then we fill it up and we plant the seeds. If you have a south-facing or west-facing window in your school, make sure that you do plan for using that space. It might be somebody else's classroom. It might be in the hallway. You might need to talk about the caretaker of the school. You might need to talk about the principal or the owner of that classroom, the teacher of that classroom. But you need to have a plan, you need to think about it. So planning is very important. If you want to start your seed from seed, which I highly recommend, know where you want to start them, because usually you start your seeds indoors and you need to have a space. Or, again, if you don't have that space, if there's no space south-facing or west-facing or even east-facing that gets direct sunlight from outside, then you probably need to think about starting your seeds outdoors with row covers or cold frames. So think about that. That could be a little bit of expense that gets added to your budget. So you need to plan that. So think about your environment, your school, what you have, what you can do indoors, and if there's no way, then think about starting your seedlings outdoors under row covers or cold frames and things like that. So plan for that. So when we're talking about space, there are a lot that you can do in shade. Now, shade does not mean north facing. Shade does not mean no sun at all. Almost nothing edible and annual grows in no sunlight. So shade means 4 hours of sunlight or less. Less doesn't go to zero. Usually most of the plants need at least two hours of direct sunlight. There are some of these plants that don't do very well in 8 hours of sun. For example, lettuce. Your lettuce turns bitter very quickly. If you plant it in 8 hours of sunlight, especially when it gets warmer in spring or into summer, then first of all it bolts, meaning that it goes tall, gives you seeds, and is finished. Like it goes to flowers and seeds, and while it's doing that, it gets very bitter, so it's not it doesn't taste like lettuce anymore. And even your lettuce, when it hasn't even gone to seed or bolted, if it gets too much sunlight, then it'll turn bitter even before it goes to flower. So a lot of these. So for those of you who have shade, for example, in your garden, try to get more sunlight by pruning the trees maybe. But if you couldn't do that, try these ones, the ones that grow well with less sunlight.
So how much shade or sun will if you get like a mushroom bug and put mushroom spores? And then
mushrooms work very well. Like mushrooms, yeah, mushrooms are probably the only thing that I can think of that work very well. Will not work if there's sunlight.
So the 4 hours would be like too much.
Oh yeah, for sure. For mushrooms, it's too much. Mushrooms need a moist and dark environment because they're fungi. And moist meaning that you have, if you put them in a space that it is moist all the time, then you're fine. But if you put them in a space that, even if it's under shade, you still need to spray them with water every once in a while to keep them moist.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Mushrooms are probably the only thing you can grow if you have.
I'm just thinking I have this
Complete.
huge north wall, right? I have this huge north wall, and I'm just thinking, like, we have to do something.
Yeah, you could do something like that there, but you have to make sure that you mist them with water constantly. So, sun. Obviously, more sun is better. So, in the order of preference, south side is first, west side is second, and the east side is third, and north side is a no-go. North side of your building will never get any sunlight, obviously because of the way, the place on Earth that we're placed in North America, in Northern Hemisphere. So don't do anything there because you won't have a lot of success. And don't just go for the south because it will be blocked by trees and buildings. So go for the south if it's not blocked by trees and buildings first, then move to the west and then to the east. Why west rather than east? Why do I prefer west? Because here in Toronto, in Ontario, we do have a wet climate, and fungal diseases are one of the problems that you want to avoid. So if you have sunlight sun shining on your plants before it goes down, before the nighttime starts, it will evaporate a lot of the moisture that's on the leaves of your plants, which helps prevent fungal diseases. Tomatoes are, for example, very prone to fungal diseases. So you want to make sure that whenever you water your plants, you water them on the soil, not on top of the leaves. But because we're working with kids and we don't want to keep telling them no, because they already hear that way too much, in my opinion. So it could happen that they go and they water on top of your leaves. So it's better to have sunlight shining on them before nighttime, so that and it's always better to water in the morning. If you can do that, it's much better. But if you have to water in the afternoon, at least make sure that your plants are in the south facing or west facing, so that before sunrise.
So since we're talking about sun, what would you consider having a skylight? That's not north, that's not south, that's from top. So if I choose that location to have whatever I want to do in the classroom, what would you consider that?
Does it get direct sunlight?
Yeah, it's a skylight. So
Yes,
it's from
but
the top.
does it get direct sunlight on
does.
the spot?
At a certain point of the day, it does, of course.
So you need to look at it and see, time it and see how many hours it gets sunlight, and do it when you want to, count that when you want to do your seedlings, which is in spring probably. Because the sun is higher in the sky during summer, and what you see and experience in summertime, in terms of how many hours of sunlight that skylight gets, might not be the same in spring. Definitely will not be the same in spring. So, but there are other things you can do. You can put mirrors. Mirrors help. You can put your plants beside a white wall. If you don't have mirrors, maybe put foil, aluminum foil that reflects the light. It makes a huge difference. I started a lot of my seedlings this year in one of the rooms in my house that has west-facing window. And at some point in time, when it was rainy, like 2 or 3 days in a row, I put mirrors, and that makes a huge difference. You see, when your seedlings come up and you see the first set of leaves almost immediately at the surface of the soil, that means you have enough sunlight. If they start going tall, that means they're looking for light. And they get very, very weak, those seedlings. So if you see that sign that your seedlings are going very tall and their first leaves are way up here, that means you do not have enough sunlight. You need to move them somewhere that they get sunlight. So the mirror that I put showed me immediately that I'm giving them enough sunlight, because they were actually facing and going tall towards the window. That meant that they're not getting enough sunlight. As soon as I put the mirrors back, they all straightened up. So you'll see, watch and observe your plants, and they will tell you a lot. And as soon as you see that they're going way too tall, act and move them. Make sure you give them enough sunlight, because if they go way too tall, they will get weak. This was 3 hours of workshop, and we covered a lot of material. This video was the third one of many of these videos that are coming out, and you have to just make sure that your email is on my email list. Here's the link. Make sure you click there and you give me your email address, and then go to your email account and make sure that you confirm your subscription. This way, every time that one of these videos come out, I will send you a link so that you don't have to come back into my YouTube channel and check every day to see if a new video is out or not. And if you've already been on my email list, you should have been getting the notifications, and for the rest of these video series, you will get notification as well. Okay, and I'll see you very soon. Make sure you put your email there.